All right, and we'll be starting. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Tech for Healthy Aging. My name is Sean Henderson, and I serve as the Systems Analytics Manager for Hammer Residences. I'm also one of the original members of our host group today, Minnesota Networking and Education and Assistive Technology, or Minnesota NEAT for short. I'll be helping out by providing some brief introductions here, moderating questions, and making sure that we don't get too lost in the weeds and nobody goes over time on their presentations. Let's see, a little bit about Minnesota NEAT. We formed in 2015 as a collaboration among providers and vendors to educate others and share our thoughts on the use of assistive technology. We've used our connections and expertise to help contribute content for the ARM Technology Resource Center, as well as organize live events like this one today to share out information. Our true aim is to educate and connect caregivers and individuals with resources, contacts, and solutions to help grow independence through the use of technology. To start things off today, as usual, we'll have presentations from our experts focused on technologies to help individuals as they age. We'll learn about assistive technology options, including some wearable tech that can help maximize safety, independence, and quality of life for the aging population. After we finish off with that, we will move into our Ask the Experts stage. Our panel will answer any questions that you've come up with during the presentations and continue to take questions as they roll in as we have our discussion. And we do like to kind of create that or foster that as a discussion. So as things continue to pop up and one question spawns another one, please continue to ask questions about that. Speaking of that, to ask those questions, there is a Q&A button. There's a little question mark with some thought bubbles up in the upper right corner of your screen. So go ahead and click on that Q&A, type in your question and send it. Let's see, I'll use that for announcements. Elena and anybody else can use that for announcements as well. So if you have questions that everybody should end up just having answered, then that's where we'll post those. Let's see, we get to the questions first and then we publish them as time goes on. So if you don't see your question pop up, it's just because we're going through it, answering it either directly or waiting to publish it during the Q&A time. So without further ado, let me do a brief introduction of all of our panel today. We have Anna McIntyre, as always, the DHS waiver policy lead and Minnesota NEAT member. Then we have Sherry Cook and Greta Jenkins from the Lighthouse Center for Vital Living and Sue Redepenning from Tech for Home. Then we'll have Chanel Calhoun from the Southeastern Center for Independent Living, Matt Hansen from Mercaric Technology, and then Donna Prochelle and Kyle Johnson from Elder Network. Thanks so much for attending today. We always really appreciate you guys coming out. It's incredible that this has kind of turned into what it is. We have 120 people already on, and we love to see that. So thank you so much. Continue to grow. I hope we all learned something today. And without further ado, here is Anna McIntyre.
Hi, thank you, Sean. Yes, I'm Anna McIntyre, and I am with Department of Human Services, Disability Services Division. Specifically, I'm on the waiver policy and compliance team, where I am a lead on all of the technology related services. And just very happy to have you all here with us today as we dive into the topic of using support technology to assist the aging population remain as healthy and independent as possible for as long as possible. There are so many ways in which support technology, and when I say support technology, that refers to both assistive technology and whatever technology is being used to enable remote support, that all falls under support technology. But there's so many ways in which support technology can benefit our seniors, which you will be hearing about throughout this webinar. So I will leave that part up to the true experts. The message I am wanting to share with you all is that between medical assistance and the home and community-based waiver services, the vast majority of technology can be funded And DHS wants you to authorize technology. We really do. We have goals around increasing both access to technology and usage of technology. As we know that technology is a premier promising practice to assist with staffing shortages, which are only projected to get worse. And we know that when people's level of independence increases, their level of reliance on staff decreases. It's that simple. So the more we can get people using technology whenever and wherever possible, the better off we'll be. Um, as I mentioned, support technology includes assistive technology and enabling technology to allow for the use of remote support. When you're trying to determine which service to use to fund support technology, it's helpful to think about how it's going to be used. For instance, assistive technology is really generally anything that's primary purpose is to help someone do something for themselves that they would either need a caregiver to do for them or at least help with. If that's what it's being used for, if the person's on the DD waiver, you would bill that under the assistive technology service. And if the person is on CAT, CADDBI, EW, or AC, then you would use the SES, the Specialized Equipment and Supplies service. Now, enabling technology is where it can get a little bit different because then that's whatever technology is needed to make the use of remote support possible. So sometimes that's a variety of technologies. If the technology meets the definition of monitoring technology in that it somehow alerts a caregiver that someone's needing assistance, please keep in mind that that equipment can be covered under environmental accessibility adaptations. And that's important to note because currently the SES service has a cap of $39.09 annually. So if that can be saved to use for more assistive technology equipment or specialized supplies, that's great. And then EAA has a much higher limit of 40,000 annually. So if it meets the definition of monitoring technology like cameras, sensors, wearable devices, that can all be covered under EAA. It's can be kind of complicated. There's a lot that I could go into with that, but I'm not going to because I want you to hear from the experts. So what I will do is I will just stay on throughout the webinar. And if you have questions about how something would be funded, I will be here to answer those questions. All right, thank you very much. Sean, you're muted.
I am muted. I love that. All right. Thank you, Anna. Really appreciate your time. Next up, we have Sherry Cook, Greta Jenkins, and Sue Redepenning from Tech from Home and Lighthouse Center for Vital Living. Who would like to start?
I'll kick us off. Can you hear me?
Okay, there we go. Absolutely, Sue.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we're going to introduce ourselves first, and then we're going to share our PowerPoint because we've been doing some work as partners together. So we thought this would be a good way to save on time. I'm Sue Redepenning. I'm the owner of Live Life Therapy Solutions, and we've been providing assistive technology through our services for Tech for Home and Waiver and Tech for Healthy Aging and other grants that we get for the last 10 years. We have occupational therapists, physical therapists, speech therapists, engineers, and AT professionals. Sherry and Greta, I'll have you introduce yourself and then we can get started.
Hi, I'm Sherry Cook with the Lighthouse Center for Vital Living in Duluth, Minnesota. And I am the division head for the assistive technology program. And we have a large assistive technology lending library. And we also do have a full tech staff to go out and assist with doing the setups. And we of devices or training on devices. And then we also do have occupational therapists here as well. And I will let Greta introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Greta Jenkins. Sherry and I share an office. So it'll look like Sherry's talking, but I'm talking, and hopefully you can hear me okay. I am new to the AT field. I've been at the Lighthouse for just a couple months now, and I have been learning so much with Sherry, and I'm excited to keep learning more as part of the NEAT Collaborative. So thanks everybody for joining us today.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully that will go with great success. All right, here we go. All right, so I'm going to start us off. We have had in the past 2 years been working on technology for healthy aging. We had a grant, it was a Live Well grant that ended at the end of June, but we continue our work in each of our agencies based on what we learned doing technology for healthy aging. And so that's what we're going to review today, is in those 2 years, what did we see as the needs that were emerging with the referrals that we saw for people that were 65 and older. So we're going to review those types of devices, the things that we were going out for the most, and the resources we had developed through that grant that are continuing now in our work. And I did put in the Q&A the resource that we developed that I put on our website of some of the learnings that we have, and that page is really meant for professionals and case managers and families to look at and see what we learned, and also to see, like, sometimes the technology is simple and the family can help get it set up. So we put some good resources on there too for some of the really simple low-tech technology that might not need our help to be able to set up. Why ET is so important for the older Minnesotans is that it's really crucial. Many people want to age in place in their own homes. And to be able to do that, technology can really capitalize off of independence and safety and home modification so that that person is able to do that if that is their goal. Technology has great potential, but it does miss the mark. I don't know if any of you have ever bought technology at Best Buy, even something simple as a Ring doorbell, and tried to set it up and tried to make it your own. Some of those things that you want to do in there just are not easy to do, and some of the YouTube videos miss the mark. And so especially for someone 65 and older who's new to technology often, and they want it set up in a unique way, having a professional that understands that can be very helpful. What we also found is person-centered work in our assessment and our training played a critical role. Sherry and I will talk about that in some of our success stories, but what we heard from the person that was 65 and older is they don't always feel like they are the center of the work that's being done, even though the family means really well, or the person that is speaking with them, even at a doctor's appointment, will often talk to their family first and not the person who's sitting there. And no one's doing that, you know, in a bad way, but I think we all forget that the person is that person 65 and older, even if that person has a lot of things going on. We do want to make that person the center of our work and then bring in the care team. So there's an art to that. And what we heard time and time again is how different that was and how important that was for the person. Lack of proper training for especially this age group or break that technology from being used. So especially when you think about the different age groups that we grew up in, like I'm 58 and I did grow up with technology to some degree, although I will tell you when I was in school, the computers were huge. They weren't something that I could personally use unless someone, you know, programmed it for me. And so when we really think about when smartphones came into play and when computers came into play, many of us weren't on the cusp of that. But then we look at people who are in college now, our own kids, our nieces and nephews, and how they can just gravitate to technology and almost figure out how to use it on their own. That doesn't always occur with 65 and older. I'm not going to say it doesn't sometimes, because it does, but we do need to make sure that that right proper training is there, because that can really help the person use the technology that's important to them. The critical things that we learned is that for this age group, low tech to high tech, there is a range. Like, I know when we went into this, we thought, okay, this age group might use more low tech and they might not need as much of the high tech things like eye gaze for speech generating device, smart home technology, being able to do their hospital bed with their voice. But what I will tell you is that we did see in that 2 years, low tech to high tech. A lot of people just needed ways to adapt or change their activities of daily living. So it might be that we were bringing in reachers. It might be that we were teaching good ergonomics or energy conservation techniques. It might be grab bars. The person-centered approach was huge. We heard that over and over again in our surveys. And the popular items that we saw in both of our agencies were setups of Alexa and Echo devices, medication management tools, dressing tools, Ring doorbells, setting up phones, whether it be a smartphone or a landline, and getting that set up for the person, and adaptations to the home environment. Let me see, let me get to the next slide. Okay, so I'm going to go over some of the simple technology that we used and some of the unique things that we use them for in this age group. The Ring door and doorbell monitoring was a huge one that really helped people to be able to see who was at the door before they answered the door. Oftentimes what we saw with this age group in particular, and rightly so, is the person's family or caregivers or medical team was very good about teaching them awareness of not answering phone calls that they don't know, not giving out too much information to people, and being really careful and wary who was at the door. And so this type of technology was really helpful so that person could check either with their Echo Show or their smartphone or whatever technology they had, who was at the door, and speak with them before they chose to let them in or chose to say, leave that at the door and I'll get it later. Smart home devices became really popular. Using the Echo Dot, even the new Echo Dots have motion sensors in them. And I don't know that a lot of people or families know that. Some of the reminders that people need on an Echo Dot could be set up with the motion sensor so that as a person walks into the room, it can remind them to drink water or to go for a walk or to take their medicine, whatever reminder they need every time they walk into that space. Then they leave for a while, and then it can be set up to do it again. It can do it every time the person leaves, or it can be set up to do it after like 3 hours if the person leaves and comes back in. Some of those things are super simple. It gets the device talking to the person, and then the person remembers it's there, and it gets them talking to the device too if they want to know weather or make a phone call or things like that. We do a lot of medication management. Dose Health is the local company that we use a lot of because they have the flip, which is hands-free, being able to flip the device and be able to send text messages out if medication wasn't taken. But we do also use other devices and compare and contrast them. We did a lot of phone setup. So we did have a lot of people who were given a smartphone, or they did purchase a smartphone, but once they got it, it wasn't intuitive for them how to use it. It wasn't set up with the right accessibility options. So we did do a lot of setting up phones, teaching someone how to use that, and practicing it, which became really huge for that phone to be used. We did do a lot of assistive technology around the home, and this was really important to people. So everything from simple magnification to shower chairs to different types of feeding equipment. So we brought out rocker knives and different types of spoons, different types of grips. All of those things were really helpful to people. Reachers, different types of ways to be able to use the microwave to be safer. These are dressing tools that we brought out and people used. So using a dressing stick to help reach like a coat over your shoulder or a shirt over your shoulder that you're trying to put on can be very important for somebody who has arthritis or has shoulder issues or weakness. Button hooks with different types of handles on them so the person is able to do the buttons on their shirt. We also did teach people how to use Velcro or to buy Velcro adaptations to their clothes if buttons were hard, even with a button hook. And then all the different types of long-handled tools, reachers, long-handled sponge for the shower, sock aids, elastic shoelaces. We do a lot of GPS watches and alerting devices for people. And I think the important thing was that many people had personal emergency response systems that worked in their home, but people that we saw were active. They were getting out and about either in their wheelchair with their walker or by walking, and their family and they wanted a device that they could use for alerting that would go with them and work in the home, in the community. And so we really did a lot of teaching about what those devices were, brought out samples of those devices. And then when the person and the family did get those devices, we were being able to help them set them up so that the alerts went to the right family members. They all know how to communicate with each other. They knew where the emergency button response would go back to. So all of those teachings and setups were really important to the person and to their family. A lot of families and the person are wanting to stay in their own home, but the person even is really stressed out about it. And for them to learn all this on their own and set it up all on their own is just another stress. So having that service, having that setup has become really important. We also do different door alerts. So we have had family members where one person might have dementia and Alzheimer's at the beginning, and then the husband or wife does not. And they're great and fine in their home, but the person who does not have dementia and Alzheimer's does want to know when the door is being open, when someone might be leaving the home, so that they have that alert that, yes, that other person's going, it might be safe or it might not be safe. I need to take action, or I just need to be aware. And so a lot of those alerts are either something that comes back to the person's smartphone to just let them know the front door is being open, the back door is being open, or it can actually have a sound that makes a noise so that caregiver, the husband or wife, can hear that door is being open and somebody's going. Telephones and telephone training was huge. So even landline phones, this one that we're showing right here has captioning on it, which a lot of people use and can benefit from. A lot of people did not know how to set those up or use them, even if they did have them in their home. So getting those set up, getting those used, or even the awareness that they exist. And then for smart home phone training, having the phone be set up so that it's easy accessible, that only the apps appear that that person needs, and that the accessibility options are set up correctly. There are so many accessibility options now on the iPhone and that are built into the Android phones. It's really hard to keep up on and really hard for families to know which ones might benefit the person or the person to know that too. And so having an expert in there to show that became really important. And then also to not forget, there are still phones that a person benefits from that's not a smartphone, and that might be a best option for that person depending on what their needs are. And so if the person didn't have a phone yet, we did spend time exploring that and trying things out, even meeting them at the Verizon store or T-Mobile store to really go through all the benefits before they actually picked and selected an option. And then home adaptations. So from simple grab bars to marking a person's stove to ramps, home modifications was another really important factor in picking the right ones for the person and the devices that they use in the home. We do a lot of durable medical equipment, and what's really important about that is if you have an OT or a PT involved in durable medical equipment, that is something that Medicare and Medicaid will pay for. And so I know oftentimes in my work that our team sees the case managers ordering those things for the person, which is fine and great because the waiver can cover it too if something gets denied. But I always want everyone to know that we can try medical assistance insurance and Medicare for rehab shower chairs, hospital beds, for scooters and walkers, and for communication devices. And then ramps and grab bars, those are things that the waiver pays for. having someone come out to someone's home after they've had a crisis, after they go home from the hospital, to assess these things or even help them get them set up if the hospital ordered them, can be make or break that success of the person going back home. And then lighting and low vision. We do a lot of work with people who need magnification in their home, so a CCD, TV, magnification like on the left, using your smartphone to magnify, using a handheld magnifier, and having better lighting throughout the house are super important. And then there's a lot of apps that are for the Android or for the iPhone, like the Seeing Tap See app, Seeing IA, that really help the person to be able to focus on things and do things that a magnifier or more would be able to do for them if they have a smartphone or an iPad or an Android. I'm just going to share a couple stories, and then Sherry and Greta are going to finish the presentation. Martha is someone who I saw in her home, and she was having consistent falls. And so she was at the point where she was almost ready to move into assisted living, but she didn't want to. And her case manager really listened to that and had us go out to see like if there's anything we could think of, anything that might have got missed that might have been related to assistive technology. When I went to her home, I did watch her do her transfer, and I watched her show me everything she does when she does get up and where the falls occur. They were occurring at her bed or in the bathroom when she was transferring. And what I noticed is she was overreaching for her lights. So to be able to get her desk, her lamp on, to get to the bathroom and to get the bathroom lights on was a struggle for her, and that's where her falls were occurring. So we first introduced just an echo with hue light bulbs, so she could use her voice to turn the lights on to the bathroom when she wanted to get up and turn them back off when she wanted to go back to bed. That is all it took. She didn't have any more falls. And then we added Alexa into her home because she couldn't reach lights or her thermostat or anything. And she now has a smart home. And one of the biggest benefits, she said, was now her grandchildren like to come over, and they like seeing that and playing games with Alexa and all of that. So there was a good fun thing with that too. Bill is somebody we saw who already had a smartphone, but he needed it to be voice accessible. So we set that up for him to use with his voice. And then we set it up so that he would be able to answer and receive calls. And then he also needed his workspace set up better for him for ergonomics. And then to have different mounts, like the one that he has next to him right now for his phone, so it can be positioned for him. He really and his wife felt like this was not anything they had done before. They had never had someone come in and was person-centered this way, and they said it meant a huge deal to them because now he can get out and about in the community by himself again and call his wife and check in, and she can call him and check in. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to you guys.
Okay. Yeah, so in this story, I have been going out to this lovely lady, Barb, for quite a while, and there was a number of things when I would go out and meet with her that she was talking about. She was dealing with some real chronic health conditions, cancer, had come back for the third time, still trying to work and get out into the community to do her photography, which is her passion. But because of certain things that were happening within the home, her words, she felt like everything was falling apart. So the first thing that we did is we made sure that she, and she was having a little bit of trouble too, feeling safe in her home. There were some things happening at that time currently in the community. So we had made sure to install a Ring doorbell, and so that way when she had her tablet upstairs with her, she would be able to see there was another extra camera outside too in the driveway area, so she could see things, make sure who she knew was there. It added a lot of security to her, and she felt a lot better about that. We also started setting reminders. Don't forget to check your blood sugar. Don't forget to take your meds. She was wanting to do some more cooking for her to try to get, her blood sugars a little more level. So she was using it for recipes, getting the daily news, even asking the weather. We also did work with her on getting her to use her iPad more. The family had purchased her iPad and she was using it to check the cameras and see who may be at her door. But we also went over the fun drop-in feature for her grandchild that was unable to visit her, especially during COVID. She also had an older desktop, and we did go in there, one of our tech staff did go in there, and we were able to provide for her a new desktop and help her so that she could get set up again for editing some of her photos and doing that photography that is her passion. One other thing that we were able to work on is getting her a good night's sleep. She had had a bed that for almost 30 years, and she was having more and more pain, chronic pain, going to the doctor quite often, going to physical therapy, trying different other therapies as well, having some trouble with acid reflux, some breathing troubles. So what we did is we looked at, after her visiting her doctor, he had suggested possibly like an adjustable frame, and she was thinking, how can I afford that? So just talking, sitting down and spending time with her, using that person-centered approach, talking to her, wondering what we can do to help. I did help her with filling out an application for a grant. We received some funding. We were able to buy her a new mattress and adjustable frame for her to have, and that really did help. One really quick story, she for years never had to set an alarm because she really never slept. And one day a few days after having the bed, she got a call from work asking if she was okay. She had overslept because she was sleeping. So that was, and work wasn't even, they were happy for her. They weren't even angry about that. So she does set an alarm now and she has not missed any more work. She is obviously still sleeping very well. We also looked at another program for trying to get her some funding to get her some home adaptations, grab bars installed, handrails installed. That is still in process. She was approved, and that will probably be done in the spring. Also getting her some warmer windows, things like that. So just again, using this person-centered approach, listening to everything that's happening within the home, making it safer for her, keeping her independence with doing some of those home adaptations, helping her with also trying to get some heating assistance, which she did get, just the whole overall picture of what she needed to increase her safety and independence. So that is Barb's story, and you can go to the next slide. So this is one of our occupational therapists, Lynn. These were her people, Fran and Joe, and she met with them about 25 hours total, and they completed all the goals that they had set out. They both say that the Lighthouse has done a wonderful job listening to their needs and going beyond their expectations to provide the solutions. They say that their interaction has been a great blessing. So they wanted to access audiobooks. They wanted to efficiently use handheld magnifiers. They wanted to set up the fire cube to allow them both to operate the television by voice. They wanted to connect to transportation, so Lynn was able to help them with getting the local Stride application here from the Duluth area. They used the Alexa show that Lynn had brought in to identify food items that they were pulling out of the pantry, showing them how to call friends, and then also looking up some of the different recipes too. So again, this was staff taking time to listen and make sure that we were using that person-centered approach and going through the whole home, even getting in and out of the home if there was any troubles or difficulties, and trying to see what we could troubleshoot or solve with them in that way. So that is Fran and Joe's story.
All right, so with the work on the project between our two organizations and several others, we've created this statewide network, including us and Sue's organization. And up here we have Quad A, we call it the Arrowhead Area Agency on Aging, as well as a couple other organizations to figure out this plan and create this lasting impact of working together to provide these very impactful services, as you heard in the success stories. We developed resources, which Sue has shared in the Q&A. Those are all from her organization. There are how-to step-by-step tutorials as well as some videos. And we also have a spreadsheet here of resources that people can request, and we'll send it to them. So that is really helpful if you or you know of others who would want some more information about, especially things and devices that we've talked about in this presentation as well. We're continuing to hopefully launch ongoing projects based on this information that we've gained from the work together on it. Getting new grants similar to the Live Well grant that Sue mentioned earlier to keep progress on all of these services and building on the structure that we established and working on inter-organizational referrals so that the person gets the most well-rounded approach and we can meet all of their goals together. So the vision for the future is to keep working on that with assistive technology, home modifications, communication, specialty areas. We all want to collaborate so we can meet those goals and refer to each other when necessary. So the next slide has our funding sources. They've been mentioned at various points throughout this presentation, but here they are in a nice, hopefully neat list for you. Medical insurance and waivers, we always try and bill those first. So Medicare, Medicaid, and waivers are two of the primary funding sources. And when those are not available or particular devices or services aren't covered, we look at Title III funds or the Minnesota STAR program for devices and loans, as well as our own loan library, so that people can try things out and see if it works for them before we spend any money from medical insurance, waivers, Title III, or then other grants or contracts to make sure they're getting exactly what they need. Minnesota State Services for the Blind also is an excellent funding source, especially for aging populations with blindness and vision loss. And then lastly, other grants or contracts. So organization-wide, we apply for and work together on lots of these grant programs. But then there are also, like Sherry mentioned, some individual grants like getting Barb her bed that are available and out there. It takes a little extra work, but clearly it's very worth it if she was late for work for the first time in 12 years because she was actually getting the rest her body needed. So in closing, all of our contact information is there if you'd like to get in touch with either Sue, Sherry, or myself for any more information on things discussed in this presentation, or for a referral if you have anyone in your life that would benefit from our services.
Great, thanks. I think I unshared and I think ready for the next person.
Okay. I am just having just a small issue here. There we go. Now we got her. Chanel, go ahead.
Yes, hi, thank you, everybody. My name is Chanel, and I am the Assistive Technology Specialist at SemCell in Rochester, Minnesota. In addition to our independent living services, we have our access program where we're able to offer home assessments and modifications to help keep people as independent as they choose. We provide permanent and temporary metal ramps and build wooden modular ramps, as well as work with contractors for a variety of installations such as stair lifts, elevators, track systems, and more. We also have a pretty neat assistive technology program and a lending library where we're able to offer demonstrations so people can learn about those devices, compare their features, and the short-term loans. We know that education and getting our hands on technology is a huge benefit when learning what's going to meet our needs and when deciding what we are going to use our money to buy for that increased independence. With that being said, SEMCIL is a partner, along with a couple our other presenters today, partners with STAR. And it's our goal to get assistive technology in the hands of Minnesotans. And we wanted to share this wonderful resource with everybody today from STAR. So I'm going to share my screen. So the Minnesota's Assistive Technology Program, STAR, they have a new wonderful online library for short-term equipment loans. People can go to mn.atforall.com and create their own account. Right up here, you would go ahead and log in and create an account. You can find any item. You can search by category and then go ahead and add that item to your cart that you would like to borrow. And a member of the STAR team will contact you to process that loan. So STAR wants you to know you can feel free to reach out at any time if you have any questions. You can call them at 651-201-2640 or go online at star.program@state.mn.us. But you know, the Minnesota NEAT team and STAR is a great, if you don't know where to go, start there. Call STAR, call one of the members of Minnesota NEAT, and we are going to make sure to connect you with your resources. All I have. Oh, you're muted, Sean.
Of course I am. I'm so great at this. Next up, we have Matt Hansen from Mercaric Technologies. Matt, when you're ready, take it away.
Good morning. My name is Matt Hansen with Mercaric Assistive Technology, and I am just going to talk very briefly about wearable technology and remote monitoring today. First thing to know, and Anna touched on this right at the beginning, but if we are talking about it today, the waiver does pay for it. You can contact one of the assistive technology professionals on the call for this or any other questions, but just know that if we're talking about it, it is paid for through the waiver. First off, wearable technology. Pendants and fall detection are some of the greatest, easiest, fastest items to get out there to help a person with their safety and functional capability. A couple of the big ones that we're pretty excited about these days are the bell pendant, and we choose some of these. I am unbiased when it comes to pendants and wearable devices, and one of the first things that I would tell you is before ever choosing any of these devices, contact an assistive technology professional. If you contact a specific company that provides these devices, that's what they're going to recommend, whether the person needs it or not. So contact Sherry, contact Sue, contact myself. There are a couple of other assistive technology professionals that are part of the group. Google it, check in your area. If you can't find somebody, we can recommend somebody. Backing up, some of the devices that we're excited about are the Welby pendant these days. And the reason that I'm loving the Welby pendant is it has the capability of fall detection. It is GPS enabled. It is trackable. So this is for use outside of the home. When going inside of the home, we now have a voice control device, much like a Amazon Echo, where you can simply call out for help. So we really have the best of both worlds with pendants these days. On the right-hand side, you'll see the bell pendant. This is another one we like, and we like it because of battery life. If you don't have the fall detection enabled on a pendant, you can get up to 30 days of battery life, depending on the one chosen. This is important because people forget to charge things. Now, a lot of times people don't love to wear pendants, and I completely understand that. I wouldn't necessarily want to wear one either. So there are a number of watch options out there. Watch options, if you push the button on the side and hold it down for a few seconds, depending on the model, it will go ahead and do the same thing as an emergency response pendant, and it will put you in two-way audio communication with a response center. Options also are available for pendants and for watches, where when you push the button, it can be sent to a designated caregiver, and you can initiate a phone call that way. The caregiver also has the option to call you on the watch. Now, the numbers are pre-programmed into the watch, and you can change those, but the numbers are pre-programmed, so we're not getting spam calls, and we're not going back and forth with the information that we don't want. One thing to watch out for is fall detection is available on a number of different varieties of watches these days. And though fall detection is never 100% foolproof, it's less reliable on watches, which is another one of the reasons that I suggest pendants over watches when appropriate. Another good reason for that, I go back to battery life. It really comes down to size. If we look at our cell phones and you crack open your cell phone, half of the size of that phone is the battery. So the bigger the unit, the bigger the battery, the better the life. So that's really something important to touch on. If you take away anything from anything I say today, though, it's call an assistive technology professional and talk to them about this. Talk it through. We're all available to sit on the phone for 5 or 10 minutes just to make sure that you're getting all of the information that you want, so you're making an informed decision. All right, alternative supervision or remote monitoring. Sue touched on wearables a little bit in her presentation, and she also touched on different varieties of monitoring. When we say remote monitoring or alternative supervision, know that we're talking about the highest level of sensor-based systems for helping a person live in their own home more comfortably, and adding that sort of off-site, outside supervision. Again, I would say contact an assistive technology professional, talk to one of the people on this call, because this is not always called for. If we can go with a lower price, off-the-shelf solution, I think that is always the best way. I work with hundreds and hundreds of people a year with different monitoring systems, and maybe a third of the time I'm suggesting remote monitoring. Also know that there are a number of different companies out there that provide different monitoring services. And though I will tell you I am almost completely unbiased when it comes to wearable devices, I am biased when it comes to remote monitoring and alternative supervision. So I'm not going to mention the name of the company, but just know that there are multiple companies out there that can help you with this. So when we're speaking of an alternative supervision system, what we're really talking about is a group of sensors talking to a brain. The brain is generally going to be connected to a router, or a cellular router will be connected to the brain unit, so it can send and receive the information. That information is going to be gathered from motion sensors, bed pads, pressure sensors, sensors that can, a stove and oven sensor, and we'll take a look at a picture of those in a moment. But let's start with the contact sensor, and I call it a contact sensor because it's really going to be anything that's contacted or not. You have a sensor on one side, a magnet on the other, and they just want to know whether they're close to each other. So these can be used to monitor the state of a door or a window, which is the most common, but we can also put this on a refrigerator or a medication cabinet. Or, for example, I have a young man who we had this on an insulin box in his fridge, and we also had it on a cabinet because we wanted to know that he was taking his insulin, and then we also wanted to pair that with a sensor, a time-based scenario where after he took his insulin, we wanted to know that he was eating. So we had the first one set up between 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning that if we didn't open that insulin box, we would receive a notification. Then if he didn't open the cupboard to eat his breakfast within a certain time after that, we would receive a different notification. So this is off-site notifications that we were receiving as caregivers to find out whether an event did happen or whether an event didn't happen. Another scenario is we had a woman who had a very set routine. She wanted to stay in her own home, but she was in the beginning stages of Alzheimer's. We set up a few motion sensors in her living room area because she always went and sat in the same chair. She liked to crochet, watch the twins, and eat M&Ms. And if she didn't sit in that chair, if she didn't cross that threshold within a certain time of day, it sent us a notification and said that grandma isn't in her normal spot. Let's give her a call. Other ideas for use are stove and oven sensors, alert buttons around the house, and smoke detector monitors to monitor the state of the smoke detector. The alert buttons and the smoke detector monitor are fairly obvious. The stove sensor can be set to do a number of different things depending on the system. It can either shut off the stove at certain times of day, or it can be set to send notifications if it doesn't see motion in the area of the kitchen for a certain amount of time while the stove and oven is on, or it can be set to send us different notifications inside of the house. So different alerts that are being used. We talked a little bit about the alerts being sent out to the caregiver and notifying us as the caregiver that a certain occurrence has or has not occurred, and that can happen via text, phone call, or email. But instead of doing that right off, how about different reminders within the home? How about an audio alert inside the home that says the stove is on? Well, if I left my stove on, I don't necessarily need somebody giving me a call and telling me that, but I might need a reminder. So a flashing light in the home or an audible alert may tell me, oh, I need to go do this. Oh, it's time to wake up. I left this door open. A certain occurrence has happened. We have a young woman that we work with who every time she opens her door, her front door between 7 and 8 o'clock in the morning when she's going to work, it says, don't forget your mask, don't forget your keys, don't forget your lunch. Actually, it used to say that. She doesn't forget her keys, she doesn't forget her mask, and she doesn't forget her lunch because she heard it so many times that now she doesn't need it. I know I went one more, cameras. Don't love cameras. Cameras are not always necessary because of the different scenarios that we can set up. Oftentimes they are. So cameras are available to be used inside and outside of the home, again, to let us know of unusual occurrences. We don't want to use cameras to monitor someone. We want to use cameras to help alleviate the burden on a person. So all of these are different things that you can talk with an assistive technology professional about and really put together a system with them and just kind of have a good back and forth. Start with the challenge, not with the technology. The two biggest things, call the ATP and start with the challenge, not with the technology. Because when you start with the technology, you start going down a road and you kind of pigeonhole yourself, and you don't want to do that. Okay, sorry, last one, medication management. Sue mentioned this as well. One of the biggest reasons for, or the top reason for hospitalization in the United States of America is medication mismanagement. Just an easy one. Sue mentioned the dose flip device. I love that device as well. It's important to know that there are many different devices out there for all kinds of different people. So if there are any questions, go ahead and let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to throw it back over to you, Sean.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Matt. Lastly here, we have Kyle Johnson from the Elder Network. Kyle, whenever you're ready, you are live.
All righty. First off, thank you, everyone. If there's any abnormal background noise, I'm traveling right now, so I'm coming from my mobile office. I'm actually heading out to the East Coast to do a couple events for St. Jude's. But I'm from the Elder Network of Rochester, Minnesota. We have a program called the Technical Assistance Program, and we call it TAP. What is TAP? Our program, we provide access to iPads and mobile hotspots for clients in need of assistance with technology and access and education. So in our arsenal, we have 16 iPads. They're the 10.2 generations 8 and 9. We have 9 hotspots, 7 that are through T-Mobile and 2 that are through Verizon. That gives us a variety of different network connections. Some of our clients do have in-home internet, so that helps out. We have a bunch of different cases. We found that clients do like to use the stylus. With their iPads, a lot of people do not know this. Keyboards and mice are fully functional. You can see the pointer on the screen. There's a lot of different, I know someone was talking about the iPhone and the accessibility features. There's so many phenomenal accessibility features on the iPad, and also a bunch more coming with iOS 16 in October, which is really cool. Headphones. All right, so our process, usually we're gonna do a phone interview for our clients and kind of see what they know. Do they know anything? Do they know something? Do they know a lot? Kind of do that over the phone, and then we go out and we do a home visit and get them all set up. With our clients, we pair them with a volunteer. This volunteer goes out usually once a week, maybe once, maybe twice for about an hour or 2, and works with the client themselves. Helps them do emails, video calling. You know, we got a lot of, I have one client that just loves to do crossword puzzles. 3.5 hours a day she averages just doing crossword puzzles. Within our hotspots, we do have restrictions that are for safety and security, and also within the iPad. This is kind of the big point that I want to push home. A lot of people today have been talking about different things we can do and all that. This is my baby. It's called Mosel. It's an MDM software. This helps us deploy, manage, and protect all Apple devices. So within this software, I have a base profile for each iPad. When I get a brand new fresh iPad, I plug it into my computer, I hit one button, and it pushes our Elder Network base profile. It's gonna have about 6 or 7 basic apps on that screen, and that is it. And then for each client, I also create a custom profile. Some of them want certain banking apps on there, certain games, different things. So each iPad is completely customized to each client's needs, and a lot of the bloatware is removed. If anyone understands this, I have full root access over that iPad. I can do a lot of stuff that a normal end user would not be allowed, since I do have an Apple Business Manager ID. And then there's also safety and security within there of restrictions and profiles that we can put in. So here's just a quick little look of how I can set up the different restrictions and security. On the right there, you can see stock restrictions. I have about 67 restrictions. Certain little funny things. They can't turn off the Wi-Fi on their iPad. You think that's the silliest little thing, but you'd be surprised how many calls I get and they say it's broken. So I have all their iPads locked, so it will not disconnect from their Wi-Fi. That can be a real struggle for a lot of them, and not understanding. And then just on the end here, here's kind of the short screenshot of how I set them up. It's literally a drag and drop. When I move that icon from the right over to the iPad, it is in real time going to load that application to that iPad and will be available for that client. So this is called Mosel Business, and this is what we've been using just to get rid of all that bloatware. I've used maybe 10% of it. There's so many other things you can do with it. There's screen sharing, there's GPS location, just a lot of neat features on there that makes it super easy for the client. They're not getting frustrated with all these ads and all these advertisements. A lot of the apps, since I have a business manager app, I get full, essentially paid licenses. A lot of our clients look that like that I have the Post Bulletin on there, they get a free newspaper. So that's kind of just a quick little tidbit of what we're doing over in Rochester at the Elder Network, and just to kind of show you what Mosel's helping us do with all our clients and keeping everyone in line.
Hey, Kyle, I don't think you got your screen shared there. if you want to try just sharing that one more time, and we'll just get a quick look at what you were talking about.
Okay, hold on here. Can you see it now?
If you head up to the share button and then click there and then try sharing from there. There we are.
All right. So here's the screen that I was talking about. That just is where I'm selecting all of the restrictions and different security options. And here's the other screen of basically here what the iPad will look like. I'll simply just grab, Magnifier's a great stock app, put it over there, and then it loads them in real time. So you can notice, like, I don't have all the junky apps that just add up and get all confusion for the clients. And then in my base profile, I do have a lot of the accessibility features set up. A lot of people don't know this, but if you go into the text and you put it all the way large, it goes so big. But if you go into the accessibility features, you can tweak it even larger. iOS 16 is bringing in closed captioning 100% of the time. Whenever you're talking and look at your phone, it will have closed captioning on it, or your iPad. So if you're doing a call or just on YouTube or anything that's playing a video, you will have closed caption. So I'm real big into the new iOS features. My apologies. New iOS features, and just kind of keeping our clients up to date and keeping them going. This program started about a year ago, and I'm allowed about 5 hours a week, so I'm pretty proud of it.
Fantastic. That with us. All right, that more or less brings our expert presentations to a close here. Once again, up on the top ribbon there in the upper right corner, you'll see the little chat bubble with the question mark. That's the Q&A area. We don't have any new questions coming in right now, so I'll just quickly go over the fact that you can visit mn-neat.org when you have a chance. You can find out more about our organization. You'll also be able to find any of the recorded presentations that we've done in the past, any other resources that we have linked to any of those items. We also have little bios about ourselves, how you can contact us, all of that good, happy stuff. Also, if you are looking in that Q&A, if you are interested in creating a referral for Live Life, the referral link is in there, as well as for Lighthouse. You can also find all of our presentation or our presenters for today. Let's see. All right, there was one question here that was more towards Matt, and Matt, maybe you'll want to answer this to the larger audience. We had a question that said, Matt, many of these options are permanent devices. We have so many families who rent. Do we have options for fridge locks that are durable? Client already removed some from the shelf, same for door alarms. Are there any other options aside from the more permanent devices?
That is a great question, and thanks for that. So with landlord approval, depending on the system chosen, there are sensors that can be recessed into the core of the door. You drill into the door, you put her down in there, and it's very, very difficult to get out of the door. Now, something to know, you cannot drill into windows, especially in Minnesota. Most of us are using double paned glass. If you break the seal on the window, that's where you get the fog. So there are smaller sensors that you can use that are a little bit harder to grip. Again, really depending on the system. And if we're talking about the sensors that you're going to get off the shelf from Home Depot, I might even suggest getting the 3M 30-pound VHB, I know, 30-pound VHB double-sided tape. Now, the average male has a grip strength of 22 pounds, and 30 pounds per square inch is pretty hard to get off. You're going to break the sensor before you get it off of the door or window. So that's certainly going to help with that too. For refrigerator locks, the standard baby proofing lock I get that. I've had that broken a number of times too. So we've switched over, and there are keyed locks and combination locks that you can use on a refrigerator as well. Are they perfect? No. But with the cord that they're using, they are a lot more durable. On questions like this too, I'm certainly going to ask Sue Redepenning to jump in or Sherry Cook to jump in. They're going to have some good information on these too.
Sherry or Sue, do you have anything to add here?
Yeah, so like for refrigerators and some of the things in the kitchen, sometimes we do add a sensor so that it's like a motion sensor so that the family knows when that's being opened. And the sensor could be placed in a spot that the child or the adult doesn't see it. So it could be like when they enter the kitchen or when they're by the fridge or by the stove. So we do a lot with picking the right color so it sort of fades into the background of that. So we try to keep it at least restrictive. Also, to slow people down, you can add magnets that keep the fridge doors from opening easily. And then the person can undo the magnet, but it slows them down. So what we try to do is do the sensors, slow people down so that the caregiver can then have time to respond, is what it's all about.
And I was going, and this is Sherry from the Lighthouse. I was going to also talk about the having a motion sensor somewhere else, you know, near the fridge or stove, just to alert the parent or the guardian that somebody has entered the kitchen, just so that they know.
The other thing, the new thing that I love about the Echo Dot, is that it has the motion sensor in it. And so you can program that also when someone enters the kitchen to say, remember to go, you know, tell someone before you open the fridge, or like whatever the prompt could be. Because sometimes it is just a reminder to the person, or it could also just be someone's in the kitchen, it could say, so that there's another alert.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much. Let's see what else we have coming in here. We had a question for reaching out to Kyle for more information. I'll just say that out loud, but it's also in the Q&A. You can contact Elder Network at 507-285-5272. Again, we will have contact information and other items available after the presentation, so you can reach out to any of our presenters. Elena also just put in the website right there. We have a question coming in. Do the AT professionals on this call offer consults with private pay individuals? How much does that typically run?
I did answer that in the chat. I think it went there, or the question and the answer. So for us, we do like to find out more about what the person's needs are to quote it. We are $124 an hour in general, but we try to quote what the person's going to need based on where they live. Is it remote or is it in person? And all of those details.
For us with please, Anna, please.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to add it is a market rate service. So the service, the cost can be different per assessment based, like what was Sue was saying, based on what how much time and maybe travel distance, those sorts of things all get factored into that.
For Mercaric, we don't love private pay, and it's really about a value proposition with the Department of Human Services. They really see the value in the service and how it can help them as well. So what I would encourage is kind of what Sue was saying. If you have a private pay individual, instead of going out to see them right away and talking about that, have them give me a call and let's see if we can talk it through first. And if we can do that, then we really don't need to get into a full assessment and consultation if there's something that we can kind of just figure out over the phone.
And this is Sherry with the Lighthouse in Duluth. So we typically, you know, I don't know if I've ever done private pay. However, if anyone has a question and, you know, say that their insurance wouldn't cover an assistive technology assessment, or they are not on a waiver, we may have another grant or program that we can serve you under and see if we can assist you in that way. And you can always call and see, you know, talk to me or one of my staff, just to get a better idea of what it is you're looking for, what concern you may have, or trouble you may be having, or barrier you may be having, and or maybe there's a device that you saw that you think, oh, I wonder if this would work for me. Just, you can give us a call or complete a form online, and then we can see what we could do to assist you or your family member.
And this is
Very
Chanel
good.
from Star. I mean, from
Chanel, would you go
Samsung,
ahead
sorry.
and turn on your camera for me?
Of course. Yep. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is Chanel from Semcell. We are able to do private pay. We always encourage people, you know, reach out. We'd love to consult with you. We don't charge for any of that. We want to be able to, you know, talk with you, see what your specific situation is, and provide you with all of your options. You know, help you evaluate what your potential resources are. Maybe, you know, assist you with obtaining some of those, but if not, yes, we can set up private pay, and like Sue was saying, it's going to be based on location and what that need is. We'd be able to provide a quote and kind of go from there.
Fantastic. Anybody else have anything that they'd like to add?
So Sean, in the questions between us, they wanted to know if we could describe how Live Life Therapy Solutions and the Lighthouse work together and what each of our agencies cover. Can I do that quick?
Go ahead.
Okay, so we are each our own entity, first off. So Live Life Therapy Solutions and the Lighthouse Center for Vital Living, but we did have a joint grant to partner for 2 years to look at the needs of 65 and older. And then after that, Live Well grant, we have decided, you know, to keep working together. So we cross-refer to each other all the time. So between our two agencies, we can see the whole state of Minnesota, either remotely or in person. And the Lighthouse has like medical billing and waiver billing and Title III. And my agency has waiver billing. We have several grants, and we do private pay. And for medical billing, if someone needs that, we do know a lot of resources to refer people to. We are a STAR device demo site. We're just starting with that. And Sherry's group is Minnesota STAR device demo and loan program. And so I feel like we do a really good job of collaborating, learning from each other, and still working together. And then, you know, we have separate grants and stuff now, but we still keep up our partnership. Anything you want to add, Sherry?
No, you said it wonderfully. It's been a great collaboration, and we can refer back and forth. And you know, Sue has some professionals and consults on her side that, you know, we don't have a speech language pathologist. So I know if I get something like that in, I would refer to Sue's team. And yeah, and again, if there isn't a medical insurance or a waiver, we can look into various other grants that we have as well.
Very good. All right, this one is a little bit more of a pointed question. Does anyone have any experience or feedback on the use of GrandPad? Seeing some shaking heads. All right, I'm sorry, unfortunately, we don't have any experience with GrandPad. Next up, how far are you able to travel to a client? I'm sure that varies for each of the different providers present right now.
I'll just start really quick. We're statewide because we have the Tech for Home grant. And so what we try to do is we try to refer to local resources, but if we're statewide and we're going to see Tech for Home people, then we'll add on waiver and all of the other people in that area. So we do try to serve where there is no one else to serve.
And
For
this is
McCarrick, the entire state of Minnesota. Sherry?
And this is Sherry with the Lighthouse. We try to stay up here in the Arrowhead region, but if we do have a call that comes in, like we'll refer to others. Like I sent a referral to Chanel, and I mean we all work together on referring and making sure that you get to where a provider may be in your area. So and we do and will go outside of the Arrowhead. It really just depends on what it is, or if it's an unserved area, maybe if there isn't someone else there. And then with our STAR demo and loans, we can ship throughout the state, and we do share with our other partners too.
This is Chanel from SemCell. With our Access program, we serve the 11 southeastern counties. With our assistive technology program, we are able to serve the entire state of Minnesota, being that we're partners with STAR. I've referred to Matt, you know, we work really well together just to make sure people get connected with resources and maybe don't have to wait as long. So, yeah.
All right, fantastic. Question here from Community Support Services. I'm an SLP, and if I'm trying to get a loan for speech generating devices for a client, could I reach out to Minnesota STAR first?
Yes.
I typed yes.
Yep. Definitely.
Yes, and then I also was going to type in that the vendors for each of the device reps have local reps to Minnesota. And so if STAR doesn't have the device you're looking for and it's a newer device, then you can go to the device reps and they'll have a trial process you can use.
It's nice with STAR and their partners. If you're, you know, assistive technology professional and SLP and OT, and wanting to get your hands on technology to either learn for yourself or maybe work with a patient, you too can loan these devices.
Great. All right. Well, that is cleaning up the questions that we have now. Once again, the Q&A is still open. We've got about 10-15 minutes here left if anybody has more questions that they'd like to ask our experts. Otherwise, I'll just remind you once again that at mn-neat.org you can find all of our previous conversations. You'll find any of our little bios on what we do and how we can help. You can also find any of the PowerPoints or other items that we've utilized to create any of these conversations. We also have a little recommendation area where you can see different items that our experts recommend. Let's see. I do not see any more questions coming in. Is there anything else that we'd like to talk about in closing today, experts?
I would just say that each of our programs, or many of us, do have grants that are related to helping people with disabilities or the older population to be able to get technology if they can't get it any other way. So especially the Lighthouse and me, I'm more familiar with, but I'm sure Chanel, you can comment too, but through some of the money that's been available through COVID and the federal government, each of us have some grants that if someone needs some technology or even some connectivity, they have qualifications, but you could reach out to any of our groups and we might be able to help with that too.
I'd like to go ahead and voice something quickly that we kind of say every meeting is we all work together. And if you get one of us, you pretty much get all of us. So if you don't know who to contact any of us. We work together, and for my part, I send a lot of people over to Sue, and I connect with Anna, and I connect with Sherry and Chanel. And if I am not the best person to work with you, then somebody else on this call is going to be. And I know they do that the other way. So we're going to make sure you get connected with the best person to help you.
Fantastic. We do have one that just came in. Any tips for choosing a PRS system, PRS system? That's typically one of the requests people start with. Anybody want to take that one on?
Oh, I'll jump in on that.
I knew you would.
Tips for make the call and give us a call and let's talk about it. And one of the other things that I might say is send in a referral and let us have the contact information to call the family or the person directly and have a conversation with them. Once again, if the only tool in your belt is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So let's make sure we have plenty of tools in our belt to make sure that the person gets the right thing for them. We're going to want to know everything from area that they're in, so we know that the pendant or watch has the correct network. We're going to want to know how the person wants to wear it. Pendants are wonderful. Again, I talked about that before, how I prefer a pendant because of the functional capability, but if it's going to sit in somebody's drawer because they don't want to wear it, well, then it might be the best device that they never use. So it might come down to it, and it has come down to band color on a watch that we choose. If we have a red band, they're not going to wear it. If there's a blue band, then you can't get the person to take it off. So too many questions to have definite tips today, other than to go ahead and reach out.
Excellent. Anybody else want to climb on that one?
Well, I was just going to say, we also ask a lot of questions about where they're going to use it, because a lot of people now want that device to work in home, in the community, wherever they are. So we need to know a lot more about what the expectations of the device are and who it's going to be alerting. Is it going back to family members, friends, guardians, or is it going to an outside entity? So a lot of those questions, like Matt said, are things that if you just rush to buy one, the device might not meet the person's needs. Like I saw a person in St. Cloud who, she does have a really nice PERS device, but she's always out. She's always out of her house and it only works in her house. So she was like, it's great when I'm home, like at night, but I'm not home all day long. And so I have no access to this great technology when I'm out and about. So we're switching what she has. But the county worker just got her that, but didn't realize that it didn't work when she wasn't at her house. So those things can be really important.
Well, that cleans up our Q&A. We did have one person ask for the Minnesota Star website. That is mn.gov/admin/star. Again, you can find that in the Q&A, the published questions there. Otherwise, I think we'll close it up for the day. Thanks everyone so much for attending. We really appreciate it from everybody at Minnesota NEAT. We will see you for the next webinar, hopefully, and have a great day.
Thank you.